Hello, everyone. Happy CRS, everybody. My name is Brittany Johnson. I'm over at the Core and leading the Digital Music Summit panels. Very excited for our first cycle of a song to kick off right now. We are going to be discussing Ella Langley's You Look Like You Love Me. Massive song, massive story. So yeah, without further ado, let's bring up the panelists and Ella.
Hello, okay, so exciting. Well, we knew this song, everyone on this stage knew this song was gonna take the world by storm, but I wanna take it back to the beginning. Ella, this song tells such a unique perspective that we don't get to hear all the time. Tell us about writing it and how it came to be.
Well, I wrote the song originally with one other guy. His name's Aaron Ratier. And if you've never gotten the pleasure to be around or meet Aaron Ratier, he's the most creative human I've ever met. He paints, he sits there and sketches you while you write because he literally just can't sit still long enough. While he's writing a song, he needs multiple things going on. But this specific afternoon, I had already been to write earlier that day, and so I was kind of like, oh, do I want to go write another song? So I sat down with Aaron, and we got the idea in another write, actually. He looked at me and he said, how's your relationship life going? I said, Aaron, I'm honestly at the point where they look like they love me. I got to get out of there. And he giggled. And he was like, what if we wrote that kind of nice? So that afternoon I was like, what if we write that one You Look Like You Love Me song? And I mean, it was just off to the races. I think we wrote 10 to 15 different verses for that song. We just hit record and mapped it out that way, and we really wrote it as a joke. I remember walking out of the room thinking, no one's going to understand this song, and I'm going to get to play it around the bonfire, and that's probably going to be it. Except for Maya Hansen, who just decided she was obsessed with it. We wrote it, I mean, it's if not the oldest song, one of the oldest songs on the record.
Yeah, 2023.
And she kept bullying me to put it in Dropbox links I put out a project called Excuse the Mess. It was my first EP. It's 8 songs, and she wanted me to consider it for that, and I was like, no. So without asking, she put it in the next Dropbox link for the record, and the label heard it. Everyone heard it, and I remember my agent Brian. He's here, and that was really the guy that sold me on. I'm trying to get my heel unstuck from here. Hold on. But organically, man, I feel like as a songwriter, I've gone into rooms and I have tried so hard to get a good song or to get the song we were looking for. And that song, it just organically fell out. And then Riley asked us on tour. So we cut the song, fast forward, we cut the song. We decided we're going to do it. I'm going to do it by myself. Riley asked us on tour. And I mean, I've known Riley. He's like the first famous person I ever met. He was playing all the venues that at one point I wanted to play, and so I watched him for a long time and how he approached his career, and it's cool. He's from Alabama, and we both grew up on the same kind of music. So when I was driving around listening to The Cut, the idea just hit me to think, well, what if Riley just rewrote the second verse and wrote it how he would actually respond to a woman walking up to him like that? I think people might like it. I don't know. And then he did. And yeah, I mean, throughout the tour, we just played it for everyone, and everyone was like, yeah, but we still didn't know what the song was going to do. I mean, you don't ever know what a song's going to do until it comes out, but what this song has done, I feel like it's just hard to predict, and it's cool for me personally because it's just one of the most organic things that's happened to me as an artist and as a songwriter.
Yeah, it's been so cool to watch how it's all came to be. And Megan, bouncing to you, when did the song come across your radar, and how did you initially react to it? You were so instrumental in planting the seed with Riley's team, so tell us about how that feature kind of came about as well.
I remember the day Ella wrote it. She did call us after she'll call after a really, really fun write, and she was super excited about it. And she wrote it over a bowl of spaghetti with Aaron, and we all know Aaron from our team. And, we weren't sent the song, but I remember her singing the pickup line, the lyrics, and being like, oh, that's a fun one. And she said she'd use it for writers around bonfires that she had mentioned. And it wasn't until later, till Maya had made that infamous Dropbox that we were planning for Ella's debut record, that, we heard it. Bradley, my co-manager, knew it was going to be a monster right away. And then I knew easily it was in my top 5, because when an artist is putting out a debut project, you need a track for people to hear and go into discovery mode. And Ella's debut project is tremendous. Every single track was under such debate of what to lead with. But this one was just so addictive, and I knew that if it was marketed correctly from Ella and team and artist ownership, it would crush. And from there, with planning with the deal agency, you know, Ella was asked on the tour, which she had mentioned. For a moment around a song in social media, it's more than just plugging it onto Ella's. It is about fan engagement and getting it live. And so the plan kind of was always planting it towards that live show potential with Riley for the Ain't My Last Rodeo tour. So that was something that the deal agency and our teams were looking ahead for that song.
Well, then we didn't even end up playing it
I know.
on tour until the very last night.
Which is funny because it was planned ahead, but with festivals in mind that whole next summer, we kind of knew there'd be that viral opportunity for the fans to be able to capture it. Because there's a lot of duets in country music, let alone music industry in general. But, you know, what's the way to make the biggest splash? So,
And Daniel, bouncing to you, you were such a champion of this song from the moment that, you know, it got to you. Run us through like the collaboration between management teams and the approval process and everything.
Yeah. Good morning, CRS, everybody. You know, we all run across a lot of new artists and a lot of new songs, and we end up ignoring most of them because there's just too many. Thankfully, we knew Bradley and Megan really well from, you know, those that don't know, Bradley Jordan from Peachtree Entertainment, probably the most prolific concert promoter, certainly in the Southeast,
Amen.
now across the country, but the best artist advocate in the live space I've ever worked with. Probably also the best A&R guy in the business as well. And anytime Bradley, Megan, somebody in that camp says you should pay attention to something, that means the music is good, they're good people, they're selling tickets, they're selling merchandise, and people are coming back. So we knew we really needed to pay attention to this. When she had Riley join them, he put his verse on, and they did a work tape. He sent it, and actually we're somewhere together, and he played it. He's like, what do y'all think about this? Like, you know, I haven't really heard anybody talk, sing in a song really since like an old David Allan Coe song, really. And not everybody knows that reference, and shame on you if you don't. And we just kind of sat on it for a minute. You know, I didn't really know what Ella's plans were. You know, we were putting the tour together, and Riley was still really in the phase that he wanted the support acts to be a little bit more of a throwback. So we had Tracy Lawrence on there, and the tours before we tried to do that. And I just remember saying, like, we have got to get a female voice on this tour somewhere. And because we knew about Ella coming up and the relationship and that they had written together, we're like, well, this makes a lot of great sense. And it was really amazing watching her do a show that size for probably kind of the first time, and they were trying to get the band together and travel together and figure out all of the things. But you could tell that they were focused and they took it seriously, and that the music was good, and that she was surrounding herself with really good people to help her make good decisions. You know, we knew about the label team in New York that came together. So all the pieces were there for us. We just really had no idea what was about to happen.
Yeah, Sarah, taking this over to the label side, you were a very early believer in the song.
Yes.
And you have such a great visual marketing brain that goes along with things. So when you heard the song, how did that kind of spin ball into where you wanted to
I mean,
see it taken?
again, like you said, I was an immediate fan. I was like, this one. As the receiver of the alleged Dropbox, I was like, do you put it at the end? Obviously, it starts with a Y. That's why I was at the end. But I was like, you put it
Yeah,
at the end. So I
alphabetical
couldn't
order.
find it, but I found it. This is amazing. And I felt like, at least at the label in New York, I was the character from Say Anything with like a boombox above his head, like literally playing it for everyone who would listen. And I'm like, this is big, watch out. And to the marketing perspective, I saw like people dancing in their living rooms immediately. I was like, this is genius, it's relatable, it pays homage to like older country music, which I thought was like groundbreaking at the time. So yeah, I was pretty much on board, and I wasn't taking no for an answer from anybody. So
B-Dub. As a radio personality, you hear so many songs. What made this one stick out to you and made you want to play it?
When you have videos of grandmas and their granddaughters singing along to the same song, you know you have something special. This was just checked off all the boxes to where it not only hit the demo, but it transcended it. I mean, when you got 5-year-olds, what is it, Ella? You're tired and you're ready to leave is the edited version.
I'm ready to
Yeah,
leave.
that's the preschool version. But when you have kids doing videos and singing with their parents and people singing along to all the words, and it's virtually a brand new song in our space, I knew immediately this was going to be something special and couldn't wait to play it on the show.
Did you think that there was going to be any pushback because of the spoken word?
Nah, Sam Hunt
Versus?
broke us into that a little bit a few years back, so we
True.
were kind of used to it.
We did have pushback.
The
Yeah,
most
no,
successful country songs tell a story, and that at the end of the day is what this song does. And from a perspective to the first time you hear a song and you're hearing the beat and listening to the hook, and the second time I'm like, oh, this is interesting. The third time I'm like, damn, this is a story that every dude in country music has told, but we've never heard it from a woman's perspective.
Yeah.
And she does it in such a way to where a little kid's not going to turn to their parents and say, what does she mean by that? So it really
Because they know.
Yes, they do. They do, absolutely. But it was there was no pushback or anything. I couldn't wait to get on this thing. And hats off to Riley Green for possibly giving up his own solo #1 for a collaboration, and definitely made the right choice with that because this song is a smash.
Quickly, just touching on the pushback, Megan, Sarah, Ella, how does that feel to be,
To be right.
To be right. Yeah.
Feels great.
I'm kind of a pessimist by nature. I literally think everything is gonna crash and burn. So when something goes this well, pure shock is my reaction.
Mm-hmm.
Pure shock.
There'll be a plaque or two that says you were wrong on it, but we just won't say who those people are.
Yeah. They know who they are.
Well, I mean, it's risky. Risky's always scary. But thing is like B-Dub was saying, it's like country music at the end of the day is just about telling good stories, and I think the fans just want to hear a good story. So
I do want to say too, it's the pushback wasn't not being a champion for Ella. It's because the project was so strong and the Dropbox is so strong, and there's so many ways to slice and dice a debut record that there was a lot of opinions on what to lead first. There's pushback on if we should go with You Look Like You Love Me or that marketing campaign or whatnot. So everyone that's surrounded by Ella is a huge champion for it, but they were wrong about the talking verses. So
I didn't think it was risky. I thought it was innovative. So that's my pitch. So.
Yeah, Sarah, can you talk about the team's strategy pre and post release and ways you were able to consistently maintain momentum on the song?
I mean, I think the beauty of this rollout and this song was that we were actively putting out a debut record at the same time. So we actually announced the album before the song even came out, even though you had been teasing it. And I think that was really pivotal because when people were discovering you from that song, it was bringing them back to your profile. They were seeing that there was an album coming. She's clearly not a one-hit wonder, just you wait kind of vibe. There's so much more coming. So we had that in our back pocket, and then we also were teasing the hell out of it early and often. I mean, the song came out June 21st. She started teasing in May. So that's 2 months of practically twice a day teasing, which was a lot of work, but it paid off. And then I also think Ella's a star on TikTok, diversified content. We held on, we'll talk about this a little later, but we held on to Red Rock's content that we had shot agonizingly for a month. I was like, we gotta put it out, we gotta put it out. And we held on to it for the right moment, and I think that was really pivotal too. Obviously they were playing it live, that was big. And then post-release, I think we had a really long tail, which radio impact didn't happen until after the album was out. She did all these different, we did Jimmy Fallon, we did the Today Show. They played a festival on the 4th of July in the UK, which blew us all away because we were like, holy shit, it's, excuse my language, it's everywhere, you know, it's global. So that was a really big part of it. And then even down to like, you were opening for Morgan Wallen. We played it at Losers a couple times with Riley, which was just having them everywhere and every touch point of culture really helped the song grow to be like bigger than we ever thought. And then I could go on forever. Sorry, you can tell I'm the PM. But like we also had the music video was a little bit later, so that kind of helped us carry all the way into the end of the year, so that when we were doing CMAs, we were like, we just finished the year, you know? It was a whole campaign that took a long time, but constantly doing different things.
Well, what was cool to me too about the release is, yeah, we pushed it and there was a lot of strategy that went into it, but the reason the song did what it did is because the fans took it and they felt ownership over the song in a way where, I mean, I could not get on my TikTok because I heard myself constantly, and that's not a good way to go to sleep.
There was like more than one trend too. It wasn't just.
I mean, dogs were singing it, horses were singing it, you know, and so it felt like, yes, we were pushing it, but it's crazy to see like when fans grab a hold of a song, what can truly happen, and that's.
Did you know from the moment that you teased it that it was gonna get as big as it got?
No, I told you I'm a pessimist. I thought they were gonna be like, what is this girl talking about? I'm like, no one understands anyways.
Jeannie, Ella and Sarah and Megan mentioned some like key moments, some media pieces. Tell us about like from your perspective, the reaction from like the Red Rocks video, the music video, and how that was from your side.
Yeah, so when you have such a gorgeous, unique piece of content like the Red Rocks teaser, I mean, fans are just gonna devour it. They absolutely loved it. And it turned into such a huge moment on short form. I mean, I think y'all put it out on shorts with a question that was like, a girl making the move for the first time, yes or no? And like, they took it and ran with it, and they loved it. And next thing you know, Gen Z's got their hands on it.
That's all you gotta do.
So yeah, and they're making, as y'all have said, like thousands and thousands of user-generated content videos of just like anything and everything, like horses singing, couples dancing, get ready with me, like anything you can think of. So by the time the official music video came out, they were so excited for it. They were like so ready for it. And I mean, I think the video's been out 5-6 months and it has over 30 million views. Like that's wild. That's so wild. So yeah, I think overall that short form content really drove fans to the long form content. And in return, that took the fans straight back to their digital streaming platforms where they streamed it over and over and over again. So they all basically just fed each other to make such an impactful moment.
Yeah, I think it's about the genuine content. You know, it's not like we're trying to put on this weird tiny little show. Like, we literally played a show that night. It was really funny because they played it over the loudspeakers at Red Rocks, the recording, and me and Riley were just like kind of singing, lip singing to it. It was the funniest thing to do. And the video turned out great, but yeah, just in all of like the fan videos of us playing it through the summer festivals, like I think that's another thing that really pushed it.
It's so cool to watch all of these things like slowly trickle out. I'm not a part of the marketing team, so
You are.
I mean, I know what's going on a little bit, but like I try to stay blind to it because it's fun for me to watch as a fan. Like I start as a fan, and then like watching everything get as big as it gets, it's like authentically really exciting for me to watch. But backtracking a little bit, I want to touch on the music video because you created the storyboard for the video, and how did you come up with that? And then how has it been like watching that grow to, over 30 million views now? It's gotten so big.
Well, I grew up in the time where I would get home from school and watch CMT music videos. And I'll never forget watching, and I use this as a reference all the time, is the Whiskey Lullaby. Oh my God. I'll never forget that just feeling like I wanted to watch a movie about that music video after I watched it. And so when it came time to do a music video, I grew up just south of Montgomery, Alabama. My dad is a redneck, okay? Sundays we're watching war movies, hunting shows, or old westerns. After church, of course. And so when you're thinking about this song, and I really did when we were recording it, I felt like it was a saloon, like everyone's kind of hugging, spilling their beer everywhere, singing it. And so to me, it's naturally, let's do an old Western. And I love doing things where I love to see how many Halloween outfits came from the music video. And like I said, putting in that extra little bit of effort where the fans can tell that you've really paid attention to this and put a lot of work into it. And it is a story and makes you think about the song a little bit differently.
Yeah, totally.
Wales, Tony was the director. John Park wrote the story with me. And yeah, all of my friends, the horses that were in it, those from Alabama, I've been friends with those girls my whole life. And it's like, hey, can you load your horses up and drive them to Kentucky? Thanks.
It was so awesome going to the show on Halloween and seeing how many people were dressed up like you guys. That was so cool and just like makes the music video and the story behind the song totally come to life.
If you ever sing on stage, don't wear a corset. You might throw up.
Megan and Daniel, we touched on some of those like live performance points from the show in London, the Red Rocks show, Jimmy Fallon, the morning show. Like, how did you guys have to work together to make those moments happen?
Well, you know how you can pin chats in your iPhone? We literally had a "You Look Like You Love Me" chat between Daniel, Zach, Laramie, Bradley, and myself, and we probably talked every single day. We still hit it. There's still things happening with "You Look Like You Love Me." It's such a monster of a song, but constant communication. I mean, there's red tape with labels, love you guys, but at that point we're dealing with Big Machine and Columbia and Saw God. That management just had to always be united and make sure that Ella's voice was heard and Riley's voice was heard, and we just talked every single day. Ideas, good ideas, there were no bad ideas.
And then it'd be me and Riley on the phone like, did you hear what they're trying to make us do? Let's not do that.
But I'll let Daniel kind of speak to it too.
No, they're right. I mean, it was one of the most fun collaborations to get to work on because, the team in New York, I always say this, I love our label teams in Nashville. We're usually a minute or two behind the rest of the world in things that we do. So to have a New York team that's a lot more proactive and forward-thinking when it comes to technology, I'll give the whole camp a lot of credit. The fact that they invested in having a content team around at all times from the very beginning, and again, my label friends in the room, don't throw shit at me, but we fight so hard to get labels to pay for really inexpensive content. We could spend $10,000 on something and it's fine, and spend $100 on content and fight about it for 3 days. Really silly. They didn't do that. They not only allocated the resources before she was making any money, they brought on real professionals that knew what they were doing, that really helped build the brand. And for country artists, especially female artists, I think we do a really, really bad job of building the brand. A lot of times they come out with this aw shucks attitude, and if this doesn't work out, I'll go back home to the farm, which is bullshit. Nobody means that. You want it to work. You want it to do well. Pop artists, hip-hop artists, they come out of the gate looking like stars. Ella came out of the gate looking like a star. And she acted like one and did all the right things, and that translated in the content. Back to your question, though, we were all, and B-Dub said this too, we had a Riley single at radio. I forget where it was. It wasn't doing very well yet. And this song came along. They didn't have a radio promotion team partner yet. That finally got sorted. But, when I sit at home late at night doom scrolling on TikTok, I couldn't get away from this song. And I just told the team, surely to God, they're going to send this to radio somehow. It would be
I remember
a
you
sin.
being the one, on those email threads, being like, "This is the one."
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
it was
in
so
the text
exciting.
every week.
And yeah, we had a song, but this was so much bigger. And we're like, well, shit, just let this go. It's going to bypass our song. And in 15 weeks, it was #1. That's pretty unheard of.
Yeah.
applause for that, please, because that deserves it.
Great job, Nashville Harbor.
But, because we had 2 labels and 2 management teams and, a lot of people working to find opportunities, some really great television looks came quickly. The CMA Awards was a bucket list moment for all of us to make happen. As we talked to producers, the first few times is like, we're not going to get to it this year, we'll get to it next year. Thankfully, as the song escalated so quickly, we got it this year. We put together a pretty aggressive voting campaign, which was a really long shot, going up against Zach Bryan and Casey Musgraves and 2 Morgan Wallen songs and Post Malone. The fact that it won just speaks to the power of the song. I'll say for me, I've been here almost 30 years. The only song that comes close to having this kind of trajectory was Lady A's little song, Need You Now. And to his point, when little kids can hum along to the melody, you've got something really special that everybody can sing along with. But, the Today Show, the Tonight Show, The Voice that came in right after the CMA Award performance and win, everything just compounded upon each other. And, I don't think anybody hesitated really at any of those things happening.
It was a really busy 6 months, maybe 5 months.
Yeah, it was incredibly busy.
Okay, can we take a look at the stats? Can we get the stats on the screen? Is that something we can do? Oh, wow. Wow. Okay, I'm going to read them. The song hit #1 at country radio in a mere 20 weeks after impact, broke the 51 streak since a female was #1 on the Billboard Country Airplay chart. Woo! Let's get a round of applause for that. Top 30 on the Billboard Hot 100, has over 100 billion views on TikTok, 330 million streams, over 30 million YouTube views, 5 million creates, and is not only Ella's first RIAA certified platinum song, but also took home the CMA for Musical Event of the Year, as Daniel just said. It is like the little song that could.
The little song that could, baby.
Really, it started from a little work tape that hopefully,
You dropped into a Dropbox.
I still
hopefully
listen to
everyone
that
can
work
hear
tape.
one day. That's still like my favorite
I
work
put
tape
like
ever.
the whole first verse and chorus on TikTok.
I know, but
I want the spaghetti recipe.
yeah, I want it in a cookbook. Okay, just going down the line. Final thoughts from everyone. Well, not final, because we'll open it up to questions if we have some time. But what's your biggest takeaway from this campaign, and how do you think it was able to be so successful?
Well, I obviously have to throw it to the artists first. Like Ella and Riley and the fans made it what it is. But I think, to everybody's point, it was such a team effort, and we wouldn't have been able to do all of the things that we were able to do this year without our constant communication. So that's our always-on communication is what I call it. And then my biggest takeaway for this song is I really hope that I really was like impacted emotionally by the breaking the 51-week streak of not having another female being #1. So I really hope that this opens doors for upcoming female artists to follow in Ella's footsteps, and maybe we'll get a couple more under our belt. But that was my biggest takeaway.
Personally, I feel like one of the things I took away from it was that it's just the tip of the iceberg for Ella, and the content just basically proves that. I mean, the fans couldn't get enough of this song, and they used You Look Like You Love Me as like a gateway into the rest of her music. And I mean, her album, her deluxe album, which we were talking about earlier, Still Hungover, is like the best name for a deluxe album.
That's just Sarah.
So funny.
Thank you.
I thought it's hilarious. But there's so many great songs on it, and I think fans just can't get enough of it. And I think, yeah.
This song is, it's hard to put into words when you, in 1 year, see, sorry there was a fuzz right here, I'm not insane. When you see your dreams actually coming true, you know, I've been doing this for a while. I've opened for a lot of artists, I've played a lot of shows. I mean, this is the only thing I've ever wanted to do. So the biggest takeaway for me is what it's done for the shows. and what it's done to bring fans in to these shows. And what's cool is they're not just singing this one song, they're singing every single song. So what that tells me is what we wanted to do with this song is to shed a little light on who I am as an artist and, you know, celebrate some Alabama, you know, some goodness. And it's nuts to get to go on these shows and see them completely sold out. And when I play this song, it's like they all turn to each other and sing it a little bit. You know, like the girls have their own little girl group, and the guys are like, you know, that one girl we're talking about. You know, so for me, it's been to see what it's done for me and to have fans. Yeah.
Kind of piggybacking on Ella, I mean, the live show matters. My biggest thing is, you know, the great music bring people to Ella, but she really grabs the fan at that live show. And for specifically with You Look Like You Love Me, it truly was musical event of the year because we allowed so many opportunities for Ella and Riley to perform it together for the fans. So they are walking away from that concert with that memory of hearing You Look Like You Love Me with them playing it together, because that's not going to be a forever case. There's not a lot of duets out there where they're performing it together. And my biggest takeaway is that it was important for us to do that with the fans. The content was beautiful and addictive, and you'll keep scrolling it past it, but the live show really mattered last year of them performing it multiple times.
Yeah, I mean, for us, it was important to invest in somebody that mattered and music that mattered. And we had the opportunity early on the tour last year to watch Ella Langley really become a star on stage overnight. There is nothing greater to watch than come to a show several times and in a matter of just days or weeks, somebody's stardom really change overnight. The strangest thing was, as the tour was ending, I asked Riley, how in the hell are you going to do this song without her? Because we had shows coming up, you know, continue, and he tried, and I said, this is going to be a disaster. Thankfully, there are enough females in the Riley Green audience that can sing the parts, and so they're no Ella Langley by any means, but they filled in pretty well. And we coerced her to coming back out on tour again this year, so we'll get a lot of great chances to do it together. But to your point, it's about believing in the song, believing in the artist, you know, having a team spirit. Everybody works together. We win together, we lose together. And I just love that, from what I hear, some programmers learned that you have to listen to the audience in new ways and pay attention in new ways of where they're really wanting to consume music. And I feel like now we're all doing that.
We traditionally have been an artist-driven format, and with country audience becoming more and more streaming-driven, we've gotten away from that a little bit to where it's been about the song. But then you have certain songs where you have an artist that is on the verge of becoming a superstar, and that's my biggest takeaway is when you hit #1 in both Mediabase and Billboard, that's hard to do. I mean, Billboard it's hard to play the game to get a #1 in Billboard. And then following up and listening to the album, wow, like we've got a legit female superstar on our hands right in front of us right now, and that's really tough to come by in this format. It shouldn't be, but it's easier said than done. I'm pumped I'm already on Wind on my national show, which I don't go out of the box on many songs, but is anybody playing Wind yet? Word for the Wind, who's on that?
Yeah.
Thank you.
By the way, I don't know if Drew Bland's in here, but props to being the first station at WPAW to play the single, play this smash record we're talking about right now. I think they played it June 21st. I went and checked because I was like, when did I play that first
I'm
on
up
the
here.
show? So Drew, if you're in
Check her
here,
out.
way to go, buddy.
Thank you.
Way to go, everyone that played the song. I mean, it's just like, I feel like the gift that just keeps on giving and I mean, it hasn't even been out a whole year yet.
Yeah, I have a jaded look at radio right now, I think. This song, it's pretty crazy to have had this experience at country radio with no singing in the verses. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I do want to give props to Brittany with CRS board as well. I mean, we started talking about this panel in September, which was, you know, right in the heat of the campaign. It was before, you know, the CMA nomination. It was before, you know, I think it was right around when the music video came out. So they really tapped into, how big it is going to grow, which it continues to grow as well.
Yeah, Brittany, you are awesome. And I'm texting you right now about some questions too. If anyone has a question, I believe that there was a number up on the screen. And I would
Yes.
like to open it up.
Hi, I've got the questions right here. We've got a couple rolling in. The first one is for Ella. How, as an artist, do you not let the hard times like social media struggles and releasing music struggles not get to you?
Well, who said that? That didn't ever get to me. Along with a lot of greatness of this job, there is a dark side of it. And it's weird. It's weird to go on social media and see your life splayed out in front of you, or what people think your life is like splayed out in front of you, and your dad's like, Ella, is this real? I'm like, no, Dad, it's not. Don't believe everything you read. It's a work in progress. It's something that I'm going to have to get better at each time. Lucky for me, I grew up in a small town, so you can't really say much to hurt my feelings at this point. It's already been said. You get thick skin that way, and, people are like, you signed up for this job, and I guess that's just what I tell myself at the end of the day. It's just part of the job. Some people have a shitty boss. I'm my own boss. I have weird comments sometimes, but then I got a Kindle. I got a Kindle is what I do. Mm-hmm. I read books.
I got my Kindle backstage too.
I love it. We have another one basically for Ella. It says, how does it feel to be inspiring so many female artists around the country?
Crazy. I feel like when girls walk up to me that way, I still feel like I'm walking up to so many women that same way. And having women like Miranda Lambert's been one in my corner, and Lainey Wilson, and a lot of them really, and the way that they shepherd me in a way where it's, hey, this is just normal. This is a part of life. This is what it is, baby. And so whenever I get that opportunity to share a little knowledge of what I've been through, I can. It feels nuts to think that I'm like, you want to be like me? Are you sure?
I think that's just about it. There was one, not a question, but a comment. It says, I just want to say thank you. This song was a secret weapon song for my station for about 10 weeks before the single release, after finding it on TikTok, and my audience, from the cradle to the grave, loved it.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, well, I think that wraps us up. Thank you guys so much for coming out, and thank you all for being here, doing this
Thank y'all
panel
so much for
today.
being here.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for playing the song.